I wonder if we should move on to the questions that B has for this session, and whether we should call in B's higher self or whether there's anyone else who wishes to come through and answer these questions.
Yeah, higher self.
Okay, I'm just going to call in higher self now in 3, 2, 1, and be there now. Yes. B has some questions for her session today, and did she have any other lifetimes on Earth?
Yeah.
Is there anything about these lifetimes that she should know about?
She has done a good range of many different lifetimes that give her access to a lot of aspects, and she has actually started to realize without knowing why, she has started to realize that she has actually so many aspects that facets in the human experience that she understands fully, and she could fully have compassion for when other people go through this, and also sees why souls could choose such aspects. So she has quite a wide range of it, and that's the whole purpose, or was the whole purpose of bringing that all in now for the finals.
Is there any healing or any residue left over from any lifetimes that B could heal?
We do a scan and see. There is on and off something in her stomach, and she wonders about that as well. Like a pain thing. We actually we can't even answer this. Well, we know that it is really at times a mystery to her, where it comes from, what it is.
Should we communicate with
yeah,
stomach?
maybe it's a good idea to just see if there is something, yes,
Okay.
because we can't say, actually.
Okay, so let's move through down into the stomach area and connect with this pain, with this area right now, and you can let me know when you're connected.
Yeah, we're actually angry.
Okay.
Annoyed and angry at times.
Okay. And where does this anger come from? What's the source?
We feel like we are a residue of something. We feel like we actually feel like we don't really belong, but she has taken us in from her father, who had stomach issues. And yeah, there's a lot of anger at times, and she doesn't have the anger, but she feels like this kind of twinge, and so yeah.
And what can we do to help release this anger? What can we do to help?
Yeah, we would really like to go. Honestly, we would like to go because we don't feel good at all. Okay. Yeah, we would like to go.
Is there something we can call you? Is there
it's real anger. It's really suppressed anger. Actually, it is suppressed anger from the early childhood of where we came from her father, who was very hungry as a child, and was angry because he didn't get food, and he was angry because he was angry because he couldn't get food, because he could perfectly see why he couldn't get food, because there was none. There was no fault from anyone, and he was angry about himself being angry. Does that make sense? But it was like a loop thing.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and so why did this anger move on through into
she took it. She was she is an empath,
mm-hmm.
and she had a very, very, or she still has a very strong connection to her father.
Mm-hmm.
That was never really expressed and lived due to the circumstances, but she saw an opportunity to help him carry that burden.
Mm-hmm.
So she took some of it. Because she was small, she took some.
Okay. And so what can we do today to release this anger?
Acknowledgement and so gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
Gratitude for the anger to come forward, and just allow it to go. She actually knows the procedure, but she never got to the bottom of it.
Mm-hmm.
So we feel actually we were given the acknowledgement through the fact that we could speak,
mm-hmm.
and we could say who we are.
Yeah.
And we are also grateful that she was like so small and she took us on. That was very kind, very nice. And for us, it's also really time. We really want to go back into lighter areas and into the light. We're actually dissolving while we speak.
Yeah, so grow that light within you. Allow that light to come bright.
We are already fully light.
And just allow yourself to release your connection.
We will remove ourselves now out.
And cut any remaining cords of attachment.
Yeah, there is some actually. So there needs the light to be shone on.
So we need to fill that space with something. What would you like to
feel? Love. Yeah, a lot of love.
Let's put love in
and reconciliation with and also love for the father, because there is that connection as well too. Yes, that needs to be healed, and yes, he's participating actually. That feels good. That really feels good.
Is there any more healing that needs done there? Are we okay?
We don't need to heal, but we would actually like to find someone who can guide her through what she experiences quite often. There is an imbalance with the food intake, and it has to do that she has partly a very good compass and partly not. So when she experiences these huge high vibrational energies coming into her system, she often experiences some kind of dizziness and ungroundedness, and then she feels sick, and she notices she wants to eat and she can't eat, and then she eats a little bit and she feels better, and then she falls into a habit of eating too much. So she feels ungrounded and heavy, not ungrounded, heavy. And we would like to give her someone who can guide her through this process, so that she actually does what will help her with the balancing and grounding herself at that stage. Because she had one experience where she nearly fainted. She lost consciousness nearly out of being hungry, because she had lost the feeling. She didn't know, was it food intake or not food intake she needed? And then she suddenly was losing consciousness, and it was a friend was around and stuffed food into her mouth, and this is like a traumatic thing that she carries. So she's out of balance in that area.
So what can we do to assist this today?
Yeah, the incident, we could hear the incident that happened so that she can reconcile that. But we think we should give her a guide that helps her to balance. So we'll do the reconciliation of that incident. Okay, this is done. And we see actually a little team coming in, but that's enough for us to know for now. They will assist her. She can also ask them to assist her if she is, because she tends to go into old patterns when it comes to food. It runs through the ancestral line due to hunger and starvation at times, and she had an experience starting a lifetime and pregnancy already, so she's a little bit prone to imbalances in that area.
Okay.
So we feel it would be a good idea to have a team to help her learn this fully in her human incarnation, rather than trying to balance it out energetically yet.
Okay.
If it is necessary later, it'll come up in another time.
Bee's also wondering, does she and the facilitator for today's session, do we bilocate?
Yeah, to be in two locations at the same time, yes. Yes, in these sessions, when the participants see themselves or in other situations or are being shown things, they are actually acting from another plane of existence. And yes, it's by location. Sometimes it's three locations even involved. Yeah, it's not that difficult once you reach a certain frequency. It sounds like a very difficult concept at first for human beings, but once the frequency goes up to a certain point, it happens very naturally, and the person will sometimes not even notice that they see, especially in sessions, they see themselves, they see the guidance team or whoever is coming in to help. And because the voice box of the vessel is used, they will clarify at times, oh, this is this and this entity speaking, which is only another aspect on another level of existence.
Yes.
And they see all of them at the same time. So that's a beautiful process, very enriching for the person that can see this. We do that.
Wonderful. So she's also wondering what's happening with her right hip.
Yeah.
And the pain in her right foot.
It was excruciating. The right leg, yes. Let me see. There is a memory in the right leg. It looks like, yes. It looks like an apparition. It looks like an artificial leg. It seems like a memory or memory overlay from. It's not fully clear whether this is only a memory or what's the other called? Or a real experience where when there was like an artificial limb attached, and we can see in the points where she feels the pain, which is really where the cheek, so to say, is the muscle, the big muscle where you sit on.
Mm-hmm.
And in the calf, there was kind of like a little electrical pulses given to make that move.
Mm.
So yeah, there should be something done about that.
Should we go in and speak to the hip itself and see?
And to the limb, maybe to the whole.
Yeah,
It's like the whole thing goes down. So,
yeah.
but these are the 2 points that she feels so often. And yes, yeah,
Okay.
maybe that's a good idea.
So let's go in there and connect with these points, with these feelings.
Yeah, we're here. Mm-hmm.
I'm just wondering what the source of this pain B is feeling in these areas.
We're sitting right at the points where a muscle normally, when there is a normal muscle there, there was when the limb was, the artificial limb was put into place. There was the need to have an outside force to put electrical charge on so that the limb would move. It's like a robotic system. And normally when a muscle moves, the impulse is given and the body, the muscle will not feel the pain. It will just know from the brain, back and forth, the communication goes, that the move has to be done.
Mm-hmm.
So there is kind of there's an overlay, a memory,
Is this from a past life?
It's an experimentation has happened on her.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is this in another incarnation?
Yeah, it even sounds as if it's partly happened in a different it's like a different dimension, or very, very long time ago, like where there was experimentation on human bodies where they, let's say, brutally put these things on to see would that work. Or it was done by advanced beings that were using the human vessels for like slave-like, and when they had a certain experience in doing the work, but there was accidents and they lost limbs. So these other beings were looking for replacements so that the human vessel could be used longer, because they were having in the brain, they were having all the programs that they could do the work so well.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a loss of assets, so to say, and they tried to reduce the losses. So they were experimenting with human beings. Could they put that in? And that's a memory of that. That's somehow in their ancestral line.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So how can we remove this memory?
We have to integrate it also with acknowledgement for the, like it's always an acknowledgement and gratitude process.
Mm-hmm.
So every lost limb and body part needs to be acknowledged, because that's it's in the energetic, in the energy body. That's where it sits.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it has to be acknowledged that it needs to be healed, that the limb was lost, so the traumatic event. So we're doing this now. So we say thank you for the limb and for all these experiences. We're most grateful, and we allow this now to reconcile, go into the light. It's all filled up with light, so the energy body is going to be healed as well. And then we have the the consciousness of that robotic leg and hip thing. And we also thank this one for being in existence and helping this human vessel to move. Like there is a good intent in that as well, and it is acknowledged. And we also apologize for all the inconvenience and pain and suffering that's involved. So we wish to reconcile this on all levels as a valid experience in the greater scheme of creation, and reconcile this as well, like the energy body needs to learn to accept that artificial limb as well, because that's the thing that hasn't happened. And that's actually a thing with implants as well, that the energy body doesn't get involved, introduced, and accustomed to that. So it will always feel like something alien to the whole system. It could be much better. So we are referring to all kind of implants that human beings get for like heart pacers and all these kind of things. They need to really what's it, linked and
Thank you. She's also wondering about the pain in her right foot. Is that linked? Yeah.
It was the happiness there because the robot was limping always a little bit to that point where she was feeling it. It wasn't working too well. Yes.
Has that been rectified now?
Yes.
Has it been acknowledged and released? Okay, wonderful.
Yeah.
We're going to move on to, we touched on it before, but Bea was wondering about her third eye. Is there any way to open it more and also detox the pineal gland?
We hear patience. She gets on fine the way she's doing now. Patience. Just patience for now.
Okay. About her connection to Lyra, if there is any significant connection there.
The lions, yeah, the lions. She has huge love for lions and the lion beings. When she talks about it, her heart really lifts, the heart really gets very active. Yes, she has connections there. Very old connections. Lion heart comes up. So she has the heart of a lion.
Can you show her any of her life or lives in Lyra?
We see two that come up simultaneously. For one is actually to do with it's really like a king-like existence, someone who leads the population. It's not a being that looks like a lion. It's like it's kind of nearly like a wizard being, actually assisting the Lyran population there. For some reason, it's like bringing magic back into the kingdom here. So that's one. And the other one is this lion heart. Like, I mean, she feels it like it's very, very strong, golden light, and like, the most fluffiest of big lion heads, male lion heads that you can imagine. That's who this being is. It's a being, and it's also a leader. It's also a leader of some community or group.
Maybe animals of portraiture.
It's very good. It's actually connected to these lions. So that's a leader who was leading, or is leading, actually. That's an existence. Is leading with huge love and compassion, and just leading by heart. It's actually giving her. She's often wondered when she realized things in her life, where her ancestral life came from, especially during the times of her childhood. And that's this lion heart, this connection. She brought that in because it was needed. Someone who always comes from their heart first and gets a huge consolation from the tiniest bit of love that she could see in her surroundings. It didn't have to be for herself, like love that was brought to her, but when she could see something that was happening out of love, loving relationships or beautiful flowers that were blooming so intently to make her heart sing, this kind of. So that's the two. And the wizard, it's just a wizard. Oh.
Are there any messages from either of these beings for?
Yeah, keep going with your gentleness and the gentle magic as well. So yeah. The message is, I feel my 3 lower chakras like really igniting. It's the message for the two of us to keep going with our persevere with gentleness and sparkles. So what they show me is that your videos that you do, you always smile and sparkle with your eyes. They're fantastic. Keep doing that. And if you go into doing maybe what they say to consider, maybe the education of pregnant women, keep that magic and sparkles up. Keep pushing forward, bring more and more in over time. That's the message with the big lion heart that you both have. We both have them. That's the message. Keep spreading your magic, gentle magic.
Thank you very much. Wonderful. So B was told in a meditation that she was part of a council of light of 22 members. Is there anything else that we can know about this council? So why did B have the journey that she went on today? Can you give us a roundup of why this experience has taken place?
She will not believe this. But it's the last thing she will believe that she came in for, is that she is going to help the divine feminine to be anchored and infused on this planet. And one of her belief systems is that she does not believe, because of her age, that she has nothing to tell the younger generation of women. Is that she, whatever she saw in the session where she learned about her role in this bringing forward of the divine feminine, that she thought whatever she saw in that session, the pictures, the images, the knowledge, is where it starts and ends her task. But that's not the case. That's not the case. She is the one that can actually bring forward the messages and possibly in the future help in workshops, sit in workshops. We're not saying necessarily she's owning them, but she may be, for instance, assisting you, Nina, if you want that at some stage, to talk about these experiences, for instance, that we had in this session here, in a moderate way, in a very harmonized way for the groups. So she is meant to actually assist in more ways than she knows, or that she wants to know. That's the way she wants to know. That she wants to know other women that do workshops for women, to bring forward the knowledge about the importance of the female sexuality, of the importance of the female body, of the sacredness of their bodies, the sacredness of sexuality. She doesn't have the factual knowledge for this yet. Well, once she goes into workshops, whether she is the facilitator or she's just a guest in these workshops, she will be given the knowledge. She will slowly but surely come into the knowledge, and so will you, Nina. You are working alongside each other, with you having the focus very strongly on the babies that are coming in, and the mothers that are carrying babies, and the mothers that have the babies already. And she, as a woman that has gone through the whole cycle of being a woman, she can now speak from the whole process of being a girl, a woman, a mother, and a grandmother. And she has chosen this on a soul level to actually talk about this. And we know she's always amazed when she listens back to these sessions that actually she is the one talking about this. She finds that hilarious. She often laughs and giggles when she listens to it. But this is what she can do. It's the thing that she never, ever thought she can do. Like, if someone would tell her this, she would think, she doesn't have any knowledge, or she doesn't feel the authority. It's partly because she doesn't want to be an authority, all the while she is one. In a good way, in a good way, but she doesn't see it yet. So it is a big surprise to her that the session went this way. The excitement was huge, but we can see from our perspective that for the two of you, that will make a lot of sense that this came forward, and that it has to do with the healing of her what is it called, armor, that she kept on her heart. And it's also her desire from her soul to heal and integrate the armor in love and in a gentle process. So you can see the topic is gentle healing and moving forward into the new world. It's all about gentleness. And she has lived the opposite of gentleness her whole life in one way. In another way, she hasn't. But she has moved for herself. She has never applied gentleness for herself in her own life. But she had often enough gentleness for others where she never had it for herself.
Is there any more information that wants to come through this session at the moment?
We think this is enough for this session. There's a lot of things that you can work on, both of you, and we are most grateful that this is happening. We actually want to thank dearly both ambassadors from the animal kingdom that they have been here around to help and hold the energy, and also to strengthen the connection between the animal kingdom and the human collective. And Mowgli has helped in the bringing forward of the memories of Lyra. So special thanks to Mowgli. He's actually one of the that's the connection with the lion heart somehow. It's one aspect of the lion heart. He's here to he's here for you, Nina, to at least partly to nourish your lion heart. Yeah. So the intent was to go into the future with ease and grace. Can you see how appropriate your intent has been?
Yes.
Ease and grace, it's incredible. It's so incredible as this vessel gets teary again. So without her knowing anything at all, no inkling whatsoever what was coming, she found the words of ease and grace. And this is what we from the other ends wish for you humans, that coming into existence in a human body, it will happen with ease and grace gradually, and it will happen with ease and grace for mother, father, and the baby in the birthing process. And we see a huge move forward with this chat that we have.